This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. We got a Tuesday 3-game slate on tap, coming off of an 11-game Monday slate. James, my friend, how we doing?
Happy Halloween, John, on this Tuesday morning. I don't know if you're going to be in costume. We haven't talked about it for the live stream, but I'll show up in costume.
I'll have to go dig in and see what we have here,
I don't know if I'm going to be able to sit in the costume that I have for this live stream, but maybe I'll just do a standing stream for the 5 p.m. show. But happy Halloween to you, and hopefully you have. Do you have good candy? Are you giving out good candy, or you think average candy? Because
this year we're not actually handing out candy because we're going to be away at grandparents' house. So we're going to be at their house. They give good candy though.
Good candy, okay.
Yeah. But we're not gonna be home to hand out the candy. So
poor kids. Poor kids.
Well, there's plenty of houses on my street. I live in a very well. You can do well where I live, just outside the city of Boston. There's 7 streets that are like double-sided that go very long. There's probably like 50 houses per street. Like you're doing good. You're doing good. So no shortage of candy to those who decide to go out the streets here. So how about yourself?
We have a very so our neighborhood is doing a trunk or treat because my road is very dangerous. No kids will be coming. Kids will be coming to my house. I think last year we had like 3 or 4 trick or treaters. So, gonna have my son go. We're not gonna do a trunk or treat. We're gonna go take part in the festivities, but we're not going to have many. We'll put a bowl out, and there'll be all the candy left for me and my wife to look at in sadness because we will eat it all afterwards, So, yeah.
What's your favorite candy?
I would say favorite candy, if I like Halloween candy's got to be Kit Kats or Crunch Bars. Those are my 2 go-tos.
Okay.
What about you?
If I'm going like chocolate, it's a Reese's. I know that will kill you. And then
yes, it will. That's correct.
I know that will kill you. If I'm going like sour though, I'm a big Nerds guy.
Okay, that makes sense.
I like a Nerd sugary sour candy.
To that, I would go. Very Berry Skittles would be my top pick. Very Berry Skittles, elite Skittles. I'm not like a sour guy though.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the small little box of Nerds can house more than I should when it comes to those things.
Before we move on, John, worst Halloween candy. What do you think? Like worst? Like you go to someone's house when you were a kid and you got what? It was like what? Mrs. Johnson gave us what as the worst candy of all time? What is it? Licorice?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad one. There can't be anything worse. That's probably
it's pretty gross.
Yeah, it's probably the worst.
Yeah, I'm not that. I don't really like Twizzlers. Like nothing gummy. Not really big gummy. Sour Patch Kids are fine, but like regular like gummy things, Swedish Fish, nah, I'm good. I'm all set there. All right, so Halloween talk aside, we do have 3 games to talk about.
We sure do.
So let's get into our main slate here to break it down for everybody. We got 3 games, as we mentioned: Knicks, Cleveland, Cavaliers, Spurs versus the Suns. And we have the Magic on a back-to-back here against the Clippers. We also have quite a bit of injury news to already deal with here on this slate, because why not? It is the NBA. And there'll be plenty more injury news to discuss as this day goes on. Dylan Clemens will have your playbook out. But, of course, you can get us in the Discord. We'll be updating you all day long. And then when we come back here for the 5 o'clock live stream, we will also give you all the latest news. But at least from the jump, we know that Donovan Mitchell, questionable. Devin Booker, questionable, but I think was he leaning more towards doubtful?
Yeah, doubtful.
Leaning more towards doubtful. Beal's already out. Garland's already out. Jared Allen's out. Zubac is questionable. Norman Powell's questionable. Terrence Mann's already been ruled out here. Marcus Morris out. So, yeah, good 3-gamer, but a lot of news to come here. Obviously, if Mitchell doesn't play like he did the other day, we saw Karis LeVert, Max Struss, and Evan Mobley just be chalk monsters.
Yeah.
Booker and Beal continue to be out. Then we know Eric Gordon and Jordan Goodwin and Grayson Allen and Josh Okogie, the value there for the Suns rather, tend to be a bit chalky. So a lot to pay attention to as the day moves along here. But let's just get into it. Let's talk the point guard spot. Where are we starting things off with our lineups here today?
So, obviously, and we'll just start with Donovan Mitchell. This is probably the biggest news going. If he plays, he's as good of a play as anyone else on the slate. He went for 70 without Garland and Allen their last game. He's gone for 70 and 54 in the 2 games. So, Donovan Mitchell, elite play. I'm okay getting to Brunson. We saw Indiana score a lot of points on this Cleveland team when they were sans Garland and everybody. Brunson's been fine in 2 games, was really bad in 1. Everyone was bad against New Orleans for the Knicks, so I'm not going to hold that to him. Westbrook is a little interesting, and I think that's maybe because if Zubac doesn't play, I mean, Westbrook is just such a good rebounding guard, and I know Plumlee exists in the world, and Plumlee is going to play, but I think that if Zubac is out, Westbrook gets a bump on the glass, and he's been good. 38 fantasy points twice this year. When the scoring is there, Westbrook is a really good fantasy producer.
Yeah.
So I'm okay getting to any of these top 3 guys over 7K.
Sure, I'm with you there. Again, Westbrook on a small slate versus a team on a back-to-back in Orlando, I think is fine given what we've seen out of him here. I definitely like Brunson here. Yep. Even if Mitchell plays, I think Brunson's still a great play at $7,700. When we get below, though, again, it's a small slate, so the value kind of gets sucked up quickly. We do have Jeremy Sohan at $5,500. Again, not a great performance out of him against the Clippers last time, but you can say that about pretty much everybody on San Antonio in that game. But the 2 games prior, pretty solid here. Anthony, as we're watching tonight, Fultz, we're watching tonight against the Lakers. We'll see how they perform in that one. We know Emmanuel quickly off the bench for the Knicks is always a GPP play. Again, struggled in a very low-scoring game against the Pelicans. We saw him against Boston and Atlanta kind of do the things we expect him to do off the bench. Jordan Goodwin, Trey Jones, Jalen Suggs, again, all guys down here that are under 5K that can pop off for you a little bit.
Yeah, the San Antonio thing is interesting because they have to travel again, and they look so bad traveling on the road. Just as a young team, they just looked like they looked lost. We'll see if they travel better. I expect them to be a little better. That Clippers game was a nightmare, so I'd be okay going back to Sohan. He's really good peripherally. I just think we're going to run into situations where he just can't score because he's just not a good scorer. He still shoots his. And, credit to him, the free throws have been better, but he still shoots one-handed free throws, just to show you, he's just so not polished offensively. So it's going to be really
crazy. You can get all the way to the NBA and not have any idea how to shoot a basketball.
Right. It's, you're not wrong. And Pop is the one who changed this free throw for him, right? He came in shooting 2-handed, couldn't make it, and now shoots 70+% shooting one-handed because his coach. It's just, you're right. It's such a weird thing. Anthony, not a lot of minutes in this first half of this Lakers game, and that's probably because Gary Harris is having a career night, at least in the last 7 years, his best night. So he could get back on track, especially if someone gets ruled out for Orlando. But I think there's always the chance if Cole Anthony doesn't come out guns blazing that he's just third fiddle behind Suggs and Markelle Fultz because he isn't the one starting. Quickly, GPPs. Trey Jones, GPPs, neither one are going to start. Neither is Jordan Goodwin. None of those 3 are going to start. I would say the only other guy I'd mention is the guy that you play quite often so far this year. And he is such a productive player that I can't say I blame you in any capacity because in a blowout, he's on the floor. In normal time, he's the clear backup point guard who's going to play 20+ minutes regardless. There's really no downside to playing Bones Highland because he gets out there and he just chucks.
He's an absolute volume monster. 21, 22, and 22 minutes. 8 threes, 5 threes, 8 threes, 14, 10, and 11 shots. Gives you a little bit of other stats as well. Not like known necessarily for those because he's not being asked to. He's being asked to be on the floor to provide some offense. So, whether it's a blowout or a regular game, a competitive game here, Bones Highland at $4,300 always finds his way into my lineups and will again on a 3-game slate.
I will say this too. I'm just going to say this. The Clippers, this is the front end of their first back-to-back. And they already have said no Paul George or Kawhi Leonard on the injury report.
Right.
We have also seen that a bunch of times before. So
right.
just
means nothing. So.
Just saying it's the front of a back-to-back, just keep that in mind heading into the slate. We could end up on a slate where like Westbrook doesn't play or George doesn't play or Kawhi doesn't play. And then suddenly Bones Highland's like thrusted into even
starting.
more.
Because no Terrence Mann, and Norman Powell here is also questionable to play. If Norman Powell doesn't play in this game, I think Bones Highland's going to be in for 25 minutes.
Core play. Yeah. Almost a core play because
he's already almost a core play for me, but it would immediately the roster shit's probably there on him anyways in the 3-game slate. But if Norman Powell gets ruled out too, a lot of people I think end up finding their way into some Bones Highland here. Okay. Shooting guard position again, a lot of guys we're not expecting to play in Mitchell or Booker. Mitchell more questionable, right? So
yeah, he's questionable. He practiced on Monday.
Okay, if Mitchell plays, maybe the top play of the slate.
Yeah, I would say he's as good as it gets. Yeah,
right.
Him and Durant.
Yeah, right. Durant 10-5, Mitchell's 9-7. So you'll save a little bit of money on Mitchell there. Similar upside as we've seen. Not to take away anything from Paul George. Obviously, that man continues to be a monster. 28 minutes, gave you 42, 38, 43, 32, 45. Still getting him under 8K, 9K. In fact, you're getting him the cheapest he's been all season. Probably a short slate discount, but if there is no restrictions here on Paul George, great spot for him here. We're already seeing the Magic and their front court already dealing with some foul trouble against the Lakers tonight. I mean, having to deal with George and Kawhi is not going to be much easier for him.
Yeah, I said it last slate, and unfortunately, like, if that game stays any bit competitive, him and Kawhi probably both go for 60 fantasy points. 42 fantasy points in 28 minutes, 5 steals. Young Magic team playing the second leg of a back-to-back. I don't know how, like, Clippers are 7.5-point favorites. We'll see what that gets to by the time we do the live stream, but that's a tough back-to-back, like Lakers and Clippers. So, I love Paul George. The eligibility is great. So, like, if, you could make a lineup because there's no, like, really clear-cut spend. You can make a lineup with Paul George and Mitchell or Paul George and Durant or, whatever combination of top guy plus Paul George, like, and you'd be really happy with that. So.
Agreed. Guys below them, obviously, once you get past this top tier, you have Devin Vassell at 6,500. I'm probably not going there for me personally. Because you have Levert, you have Struss. Both of those guys are in play with Garland out. We talked Cole Anthony already quickly. Eric Gordon at $5,200 against San Antonio. Really great spot here at his price point and the way that he's been producing lately. So if I'm not paying for Mitchell or George, obviously, there's not many other players. But, this is a really good spot to find some value on this slate.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting mid-tier because if Mitchell plays, is 6,100 too much for Karis LeVert, and is 5,800 too much for Max Strus?
Probably not, because we did. So we saw LeVert still play well with
Strus did too. Strus did game 1.
Yeah, Strus did game 1. But game 2 had the Donnie Mitch big game. He went 3 of 14, so he still attempted all the shots. He just didn't hit any of the shots.
Yeah.
They're probably Strus shoots better than 3 or 14 here. I think they're both in fine. I have no problems playing Karis LeVert. 27 fantasy points with Donnie Mitch, 52 without him. So both of those guys are fine for me.
Okay. I'm also probably fine. They also have good position eligibility. Yep. Just gonna be a matter of like ownership, I think, for me.
And more people are gonna get to Gordon here. So.
Yeah, coming off. What did we say? If he just made shots, he took 1 billion shots in the first 2 games and made none of them. And then look what happens. He made all of them in game number 3. And, he if that game doesn't blow out, he's playing 32 minutes again and maybe 40 fantasy points. So
yeah, 100%. Was there any value down here that you'd take a peek at? I mean, again, it's a small slate, so nothing really popping. You have Quentin Grimes, but he starts and comes out. DDV, Gary Harris, as you said, having a game of his life. He's 4 for 4 from 3 tonight to start. Would you give a look at anybody? Malachi Branham, if you think a blowout happens, which I don't think happens with just Durant here. Anybody?
Suggs 48,
Sure.
and Grayson Ted Cruz Allen for 4,600. He was really good.
Guy hits his shots,
Yeah, again, another guy makes some shots, then yeah, I'd have some interest.
Small forward position here. Again, talk Paul George, but Kawhi is cheaper than him by $100.
Yep.
Franz Wagner's doing the work here tonight, just going into halftime, 6.63 for him here. So always the workman-like production.
Always, dude. Two steals too. Yeah. Like, it's just what
plug him in, plug him out. You know exactly where you're getting from Franz any other given night. So don't mind him, though he does have a little bit of a tough spot. Keldon here, again, got tucked in that blowout game, but had looked 2 games prior. For as much as it pains probably a lot of people to say, Wembayama is not really performing all that well. So Keldon, looking pretty good here.
Yeah, the thing with Keldon is I don't know how much I buy the peripheral stats because he just hasn't done it for 3 seasons, right? Is this what he's going to do? I mean, if it is, great, but how does that happen? He hasn't done it, and now he's going to do it with a 7-3 number 1 overall pick and Zach Collins starting in your front court. Like, now you're going to start getting peripheral stats? That just doesn't make any sense. I don't love it. Truthfully, RJ Barrett's gotten off to a really good start this year. At least scoring. Like, this has kind of been the guy that they'd hoped for. At least this is the guy they had 2 years ago. And then last year he obviously took a step back with Brunson. But he's opened the season scoring really well.
Yeah.
I would probably rather play RJB. Slightly better position eligibility as well. I get it with the Keldon thing. I just don't buy the peripheral. I just don't buy the peripheral numbers that he started with because he just hasn't given it to us. But maybe I'm being closed-minded because what he's been, and maybe this is who he's going to be, John.
It's possible. Again, he's been really good shooting the ball accurately. Getting to the free throw line a little bit. So I don't mind it, especially on a slate like this, right, where it feels like he has a pretty good floor. Again, it feels like because the multi-position eligibility for a lot of these guys, you may even get him at no rostership because you're sort of just plugging in some of these cheaper plays like an Okogie or an Okoro even. I mean, as much as we've hated on Isaac Okoro for the last 4 years, the minutes have been fine. He's hitting his shots. He's giving you defense. He's rebounding a little bit. All of these value plays are going to, I think, be popular. So you can go and spend up on a Kevin Durant at $10,500 or fit in 2 of these guys, even a Mitchell and a Durant or something like that on a slate. We get to the center spot, Mobley and Randall are 8K. I mean, so to me, I feel like while we like some of these guys in the 6K range, we might get them cheaper because you see a lot of these plays in the 5 or 4K, especially at small forward, that people may be gravitating towards.
I don't hate it. We know Okoro's low floor. I might just play Chetty instead, who probably will take as many shots as Okoro for $800. I played
Chetty Osman on that slate at his $3,700 price tag the other day because I thought, well, maybe a blowout happens, but either way, he's played 22 and 23 minutes, and he's been scoring. So I'm with you right there for sure. On a small slate tournament dart, 100% in on Chetty Osman.
Unfortunate that your blowout run didn't go to Chetty. 17 minutes in a game, for sure he should get the run, but of course that's not how.
Yeah, that's how it happened. I mean, it happened with us with Moses Moody here today as well.
That sure did. 1% Moses Moody, unlucky, really.
Got us the points we wanted, but we thought we would have been riding the blowout run, and it never happened. They took him out. Power forward again. KD's here. He'll be chalking slate. So
yep.
Plug and play. You can play Mobley at power forward if you want. Again, they just give you that eligibility here. Coming off of a good game. If Mitchell's out, again, this is just Jordan's sad face right here, right? Jordan crying face, opening night,
Yeah.
70% of the field completely blanked.
70% of the field.
Dude,
actually.
he was 70% in the 12 single. And then 14 and 15, 33 and 14 the next couple of slates. If Mitchell's out, going to be a big monster play here. But obviously, Randall and Mitchell Robinson do sometimes cause some trouble here. So would you go Julius Randle at 8K?
Yeah, I think he's a good price. Dude's missing shots. He's missing every shot. Julius Randle is definitely better. Julius Randle has a lot of flaws. But he can be a shot maker. He didn't make any of his threes last game. He's had 11 plus rebounds. He's had 4 plus assists in all 3 games. So yes, I'm willing to go back to the well at Julius Randle. I'm also willing to go back to the well on Wemby, who I know is bad, but we saw in game number 2 what the true upside can be when he stays out of foul trouble and stays on the floor and isn't limited in any capacity.
He got off to a pretty ugly start in this game too, and then
he did,
like he did in the first game, kind of took it over and showed you, like you said, the 21 and 12 here, but
with 3 steals, 3 blocks too. Like he was doing everything.
Yeah. Still, again, got to get used to the game here. It's going to be dealing with Kevin Durant too, so life lesson coming his way, I think, in this game for him as well. But we'll see what happens. We'll be one of the few times he'll step on the floor and be able to look eye to eye at somebody. So, like there's
Kevin Durant still thinks he's 6'9".
I know. Well, when he stands next to Wembanyama to take the tip, well, no, that's a lie. So, listen, again, there's a handful of guys in the league that are his size, right? Giannis, Porzingis, Durant. That might be the list, of guys that are 7'2", 7'3". So, he's going to have to deal with Durant here. But I'm fine. You're right. I'm fine if you want to play the upside on a small slate. That plays for me. I've been rather underwhelmed by Banchero, and he's off to a tough start here on the Monday night game. 3 fouls in the first half, going up against LeBron and AD. Now he's going to have, again, Kawhi and George and that crew on the perimeter. So not my favorite spot at $7,800 here on the slate, especially when we talked about, the guys that up top. The problem is it drops. There's not a lot of value at power forward after this. So if you want to plug a Koro or your favorite punt play, Mo Wagner, like certainly can at 4K. They're just like tournament dark plays. Chetty, we've talked. Rocco, if Norm Powell's out, could get some love there. Josh Hart at $4,100 coming off their bench, playing 20 minutes, but not really giving you much. So, if you're not spending up at power forward on this slate, it drops off quick.
Someone we didn't mention at small forward, I'll just give a quick shout, KJ Martin, because I was expecting to see something here. If Normie sits, if Norm Powell and Ivica Zubac sits, I was looking to see what we could do here because probably Covington is. Covington just has maybe the lowest floor of all time. He had 12 fantasy points. He took 1 shot. He did not make it last game. He's 4K. They're missing a ton of people. Or potentially.
I miss the days of Robert Covington when he took 15 shots.
I know, all threes. 15
all threes.
Got him a contract.
Those were the days. His face is showing his age these days,
Yeah. Batum could possibly be a guy. He played 30 minutes in their one competitive game this year against Utah.
Yeah. Guy's still just hanging around.
He is just hanging around. He's a can-do-it-all type of player, right?
Who would have thought 10 years ago Nicholas Batum would be playing small ball center in 2023,
And then Dean Wade, John. Dean Wade.
Team reporter.
Team reporter, but like 27, 37 minutes. It's a really low floor, like incredibly low floor.
Would you rather play Dean Wade or Isaac Okoro?
Rather just not play the slate.
37 minutes is legit.
Probably Dean Wade if he's in the starting lineup based on price tag, but he had been the one they plugged. So they ran Levert, Strus, Okoro, Wade, Mobley. Who do you think gets bumped for Mitchell? it's Okoro or Wade, right? It's probably Okoro.
Right.
So I'd probably just play the starter in that instance.
Sure. Moving on over to center here, Mobley and Randall, Wembayama we've talked about. Nurkic and Collins are the two we haven't. How would you go about it?
If Nurkic can stay out of foul trouble, he has a ceiling. Even in games where he has fouls, he has a ceiling. The offense can flow through Nurkic. I don't love no more than 8 shots in any of these games, especially he hasn't even played with Bradley Beal yet. What happens when Bradley Beal comes back into the fold? But we don't have to worry about that. He should, in theory, be the second option offensively. So I'm okay getting to Nurkic. I'm also okay with Zach Collins. Zach Collins has been a really good fantasy producer. He was doing this during the preseason too, playing alongside Wemby. He has been terrible from 3, and he's a guy that can make threes. He's 1 for 15 from 3 to start the year, but he's chucking. He's rebounding. The offense is kind of flowing through Collins. 3+ assists, including an 8-assist game. So, yeah, I mean, you've said it for a long time.
Dude, I've been playing Zach Collins when he was 3K coming off the bench.
Well, back in Portland, like his Portland days. You've been on number 1 on the bandwagon, so I could definitely get to either of these guys. I think center's pretty interesting. Zubats, if he plays, is a good play.
Yeah, you mentioned Plumlee, 49. Mitch Robb's coming off of some really good games here, 38, 29 minutes after basically getting benched against Boston because he couldn't cover Porzingis on the perimeter. Faces a couple teams with stationary centers. What he's going to have here with Evan Mobley. So, 51 for Mitch Robb's not too terrible.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Mobley's stationary. He's not going to the perimeter. Yeah, he's not very good.
And without Allen, they're going to have him play the 5.
Close to the basket, yeah.
Any Hartenstein love?
I mean, that's if you think the Hartenstein thing is if you think Mitch Robb gets in foul trouble, Hartenstein's a play, right? Just automatically.
If Donovan Mitchell's out, we know the usage Mobley gets.
Going through offense run through Mobley.
So we could get that scenario where Mitch Robb just gets foul trouble because Mobley's got the ball the whole time.
I can't say
game theorying a 3-game slate, right? So,
game theorying a 3-game slate. I cannot disagree with that game theory.
All right, let's get a lineup.
Drew Eubanks too. I'll throw Eubanks out there. He's gone for 20+. It's the same thing with Nurk. Nurk has had 5 fouls in 2 of the games, and Eubanks has gone for 20+ fantasy points too. He's 3,700. 3,700 playing 17+ minutes. You get that game for Eubanks you got last time, 25 fantasy points at 3,700. That's a really good value, dude.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All right, let's go here. We want KD. And George.
I want Mitchell if Mitchell plays.
Well, we don't know if he's going to play, so we got to.
Yeah, I know, but
we can build thinking Mitchell plays. He practiced. You're right. So Mitchell, George.
Yes, Mitchell, George, Mitchell, KD. How can we afford Mitchell, KD? 4,900. That's
I mean, it's doable. We just mentioned a couple of cheap guys here. So, if you wanted to go.
But are they Bones 43? We'd have to play Bones.
Well, yeah, I was going to play Bones anyways. Probably at the guard spot. So 51 for small forward. Grayson, Eric Gordon.
Yep.
Center. We'll save center for the last. See what we can do with that money. Suggs 48.
Yeah.
All right. 51. See, we definitely had a cheap guy. Do we want to go Chetty? Do we want to try?
I mean, Chetty's gonna play 18 minutes, right?
Would you rather him or Eubanks if you wanted a $3,700 play?
Or Dean Wade, 36.
Or Dean Wade.
If we play Eubanks, we have 3 Phoenix, which I'm not against because they're down their best 2 players.
And we still have their best player. So.
And we still have the best player. Wade is the best for minutes. What would you say? Upside is probably Eubanks of the 3. What do you think?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, going up against Collins there.
Or Charles Bassey.
Or Charles Bassey, yeah. So 5,900. Do we go Levert here?
Yep. That's a good one.
And then 57. I mean, pick your choice.
WCJ, Sohan, Quickly. You love Quickly.
Yeah, well, Quickly's good tournaments. So just an example lineup for the folks at home here. Highland, Mitchell, Gordon, Durant, Eubanks, Suggs, Levert. Quickly gives us 2 Cleveland, gives us a Clippers, gives us 3 Phoenix, 1 Orlando, 1 Nick. Again, we'll be back live 5 o'clock Eastern. Dylan Clemens has your playbook out. Get us in the Discord if you have any questions. James and I will be there to help you guys, along with Sean Mitchell and Dylan and everybody, the crew throughout the day. And we'll be back live at 5 o'clock Eastern. Good luck, everybody, and we'll catch you then.